When I share my story, it's about more than solving the mysteries of our solar system. I represent the curious spirit of the nation, the Choctaw Nation. I am our past. I am our present. I am our future. I am all of us. When we share, we become one because our stories make us more. Stories keep our culture alive. See them and share them at togetherwe'remore.com.
Hollywood! Lights! Camera! Action! Hollywood Brown! CD Lamb still running! Hits a corner! CD! For the TD!
People don't know what it is to be champions. Oklahoma invented it.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Through the Keyhole. It's an Oklahoma football podcast. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Brady Trantham, alongside the other host, Mr. Payton Guthrie. Payton, say something.
Hey, how are you guys? I'm here saying something.
And then Alan Kinney can also say something as well.
Indeed, I can. How's everybody doing?
Now, you know who can't say something is one Matt Burton, who's not with us because the Thunder are on. They're playing basketball. They're playing Jimmy Butler. My former beloved basketball player, Jimmy Buckets, is in town to play the Oklahoma City Thunder, but with the Golden State Warriors. Really sad. Shout out to Buddy Hield. We all love Buddy Hield around these parts, so hopefully he has a good game, even though everybody is excited for the Thunder. But, you know, it's still football season, and you know what? The college football rankings just came out. But before we get there, because I already know you know who, or I guess where OU is ranked, it's 11th. Let's get the housekeeping stuff out of the Home Field Apparel. Go check them out, homefieldapparel.com. They're the exclusive apparel sponsor of Through the Keyhole. Don't forget about the Spirit Shop in Norman. Oh, Peyton, yes.
1 second. Do you have an email from Homefield? I need to read this verbatim. Every 2 seconds, someone in our country needs blood. And when you donate through Abbott and the Big Ten's We Give Blood Drive donation competition, you're not only helping your school compete to win $1 million for student or community health, you're saving lives. Plus, you'll score a limited edition Homefield t-shirt. So show up, donate, turn your school pride into a purpose. Go to big10.org/Abbott to find a donation location near you and get in on the action. Now, obviously, that's up north of us. Homefield being in Indiana, being a big Indiana school and all that type of stuff. But if any of our listeners are up there in Big Ten country, go check it out. Go get a shirt. You know, just go help out. Go get blood. I do it every time they come. The blood donation people, can't even remember the name. They come to Chalk Donation every once in a while. You know, I give 20 minutes of my day, whatever, like 3 bags or something, then head out from there. But go check it out. We appreciate it. Thanks, Homefield.
Peyton, when the blood people show up, where do they come from? Do they have an Eastern European accent? I'm just curious. and
Not
check
these ones. We've had that before.
Check where that email came from. Does it have a Transylvanian IP address? Let's be clear. It's still spooky season for me. It's always spooky season. But yes, if you can, because I can't. I found out in college I could not donate blood or plasma because I lived in the United Kingdom as a child during Mad Cow.
Mad Cow. Look at you.
Yes. So when my broke ass needed money to pay bills because I spent it all at Logan's on Campus Corner, and I was too embarrassed to ask my mom or dad for cash to help pay bills, I would go try to donate blood or plasma, and I would get told very kindly by the nurses there, "Oh, sorry. You lived in England during Mad Cow, so can't do that." But I did get a free cookie because she was very sweet. But yes, Homefield Apparel, they're always doing something great, whether it's giving out great stuff for you to wear, show off your school pride, or, you know, helping out the community at large. The Spirit Shop in Norman helps out the community at large in other ways, but that's purely up to you if you so choose.
Responsibly.
Responsibly. And if you are of the age of 21 or older, and this is, of course, a United States law, because I know we've got listeners all over the world, and, you know, the drinking laws are different. You know, like if there's a Spirit Shop in Norman in Germany, you could be 16, but not in the United States. So always remember that. But the Spirit Shop in Norman will take care of you as you prepare to get your watch parties ready this Saturday as OU takes on Alabama. Don't forget that they deliver. So if you're local, if you're in Norman, you don't feel like getting in the car, just call them up and they will deliver to you whatever you need. And then on Sunday, you can always go check out Kaizen Performance Gym to work off all the chicken wings, the chips, the dip, the booze, the happiness or the sadness, depending on the result of the game. And then our title sponsor, of course, the Choctaw Nation, together we're more.com for Peyton's other main gig, where he puts out all the fun, interesting content and the videos and the interviews and just highlighting great people of the Choctaw Nation. So again, together we're more.com for that. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, at Keyhole Pod on Twitter, patreon.com/through the keyhole, where you could read the Tuesday post I put out today. And of course, we've got a few more days until the Alabama game. Alan was busy during the bye week. He talked to Joel Anderson from The Ringer and Chip Patterson from, what is he from, Cover 3 or on?
Yeah, CBSSports.com. Yeah, Cover 3 podcast.
Yeah, one of those is free. Is that the Chip Patterson one?
Yes, Chip, we did free on the Patreon account. Yes.
Yeah. So for our free listeners out there, if you're still wondering, like, do I really want to go check out an extra? Like, do I want to pay $1 or $4, whatever it is? Go check that out just to like give it a try. And of course, you can always join the Patreon page for a month for free and see what we are putting out. And if you enjoy it, then you can continue with a donation, and we would greatly appreciate that. It helps us do new cool things here at Through the Keyhole, and we greatly appreciate that. And don't forget about keyholepod.com. You can find Alan's post-game thoughts, his blatant homerism weekly column. Don't forget about that. And please, 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 people have been doing it on Spotify. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. If you've not done so, we would greatly appreciate that. But keep up the ratings on Spotify. I think our Spotify rating's slightly higher than our Apple Podcast one, because when I started Through the Keyhole, a lot of my friends thought it would be funny. My personal friends thought it would be funny to give the show 1 star. Now, I'm sure we've received some 1 stars, some honest 1-star reviews over the years. We've been doing this for a long time now, but there are a handful, and I won't name them. There are a handful of my friends who are like, 1 star, screw you, Brady. And it's like, man, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build an empire here. Oh, well. Yeah. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and review. Hey, it's Alabama week. Beat Bama. Real quick, Peyton, Allen, did you guys, you didn't have to read it. Did you by chance see what the title of the Tuesday post was?
No, I did not see it at all.
Yeah, well, I didn't either.
Well, that's okay. I don't even think my parents saw it. So, a few people might have, but I'm just curious if you got the reference to it. It's
Beat Alabama.
Pronounced Beat Alabama. Mm-hmm. Alan, do you know?
I do not.
No clue. Give it to us.
Well, it's Lynyrd Skynyrd's best album, pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd. Oh. Hopefully OU I mean, I don't know about you guys. When I left the stadium last year, with my buddy Lee Benson, some of his friends, I mean, really, we were still shocked that this OU team beat Alabama and knocked them out of the playoff. That's incredible. And I just sarcastically sang Sweet Home Alabama leaving the stadium. So hopefully that happens again, which is why I chose to throw a dig at Lynyrd Skynyrd, which I assume is kind of sacrilege in those parts of the world. So we'll see where it goes. But again, the first order of business, OU is 11th in the college football rankings, the playoff rankings that just came out right before we started recording. Alan, why is everybody mad? Why should they be mad? 11th? What the hell?
You should not be mad if you are. For one thing,
what happens when you lose to Texas? It's just what happens.
Yeah, and for one thing, this all counts for absolutely nothing. It does not matter at all. Wow. So, if you're wasting time or energy or your psychic space getting upset about this, I would say don't. But that's up to you.
I'm gonna rip that audio, and just this is how Alan is. He's a nihilist. This is his general
It's exhausting,
view.
Man.
It's like I like college football, but it's otherwise pointless and meaningless in the grand scheme of things if you really think about it. No one wants
Yeah.
to hear that. Peyton, tell everybody why. Maybe you should look at it like this. OU is 11th. That means that they're number one twice. So, to the most optimistic
Sure.
OU fans out there, maybe that's how they're looking at it.
No, I mean, I guess from Alan's point in time, yeah, none of this matters because you're comparing resumes against teams in which resumes aren't completed yet. um, I'm actually very surprised BYU fell all the way to 12th based on their resume that's already been set forth and how the committee, I think, values quote unquote like a good win as long as it's above 500 team. I think they have 4 of those wins against OU's like 3. So I thought Oklahoma would have been. I thought they would have stayed in from that perspective. But I mean, what was it? The very first year, TCU goes from like second to fifth, or So I mean, in one year, and they did nothing. So I mean, all of this. There's so much that can change, so much that will change because these teams haven't played their full season yet. I mean, for some reason, when I look
Yeah.
at the AP poll, I don't think about it that way. But for the playoff thing, because how they've laid out how they do it, it's borderline completely useless. That said, OU just needs to beat Alabama, and I think they're pretty much like there's a very narrow opportunity for a 9-3 Oklahoma to get in there, and that narrow opportunity includes beating Alabama. I don't think you lose Alabama, win the next two, and somehow you get in there. I think you have to have a top 4 win at that point in time, as opposed to having a top 4 loss from that side of it. So, I mean, if you're an OU fan, you're in it late. This is not what you thought last year after Brent Venables. You're in it late. You have a chance to do some stuff, or Oklahoma's chance to crash and burn at 7-5. Still hit the over on the win total though at 7-5, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing kind of reminds me of why I'm thankful OU is in the SEC, and it's from a pure fan mental state. Because I mean, BYU, like you mentioned, Peyton, they fell. I assumed that OU would jump to 11 and BYU would fall to 12 or somewhere, further back. So it doesn't really surprise me. And the reason why is because when OU is in the Big 12, from a fan standpoint, it's not a very healthy like state of mind to be in because you go through the season and you get angry because OU is not beating the ever loving shit out of somebody to your liking because you understand that nobody on the playoff committee respects this conference. So OU needs to win their one game that they give a shit about, which is Texas. And if they happen to play a Power 4 Power 5 at the time non-conference team that was ranked high, they need to win those games and then beat the ever loving shit out of everybody else. And then there's going to be like 1 or 2 Big 12 teams that kind of rise to the top and have their like 1 or 2 good years that particular season. And then, you can win those games by 7, 10 because it's a ranked game. So at that point, it doesn't matter. But it's just not a very fun place to be as a fan when you're expecting your team to win every game by 30 or 40 points, which brings me back to last week, Alan, where I kind of brought up that some of these other OU podcasts that are out there that are constantly trying to remind fans that this is, like the SEC, you're not going to beat everybody by 1,000 points. It's like, I know most people know that. Why are you talking down to us like that? That's kind of annoying. Nobody is mad about beating Tennessee by however many points OU did. Nobody would have been mad if OU would have held on and beat Ole Miss, 26-25, whatever the score was when they took the lead back in the second half. Nobody would have been mad after an abysmal first half performance on offense and defense if they had come back and won by 1 point. But like you'd mentioned, playoff rankings right now and discussions about like scenarios, like it's all there because what else are we going to talk about? But OU's path is there. It's nice to know that OU is playing meaningful football this late in the season after the last handful of seasons. And it's also nice to know that they're in a conference where you can be realistic. You're not always going to go undefeated. You're not always going to go undefeated or win or lose one game and destroy everybody. You could just go out there, win games by a point or 10 points, whatever it is, just win, and everything will take care of itself for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at how the committee operates, it's fairly predictable, actually. But the way that they make decisions people will talk about SEC bias or what have you. I mean, it's more kind of like the criteria that they use are weighted in favor of the way the SEC kind of does business. So from that respect, I mean, it's been good for it. That part of it is good for OU, right? Um, but addressing the thing about, you're not going to beat every team by 30 points, you know, I can't. I guess I do understand frustrations or the like, God, man, like take a powder when people go overboard with like, oh, well, we played real sloppy in a win. But then again, that is like kind of the hallmark of great programs is like not accepting, oh, that's good enough, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that the complaints that I see about we didn't about how a team played in a OU's playing in a win, to me it's more about those kinds of sloppy mistakes as opposed to, oh, we should have won by 40 points. No, it's more just like you should have like closed the game out. You should have finished this team off, that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's always a way to be like to conduct like there's a way to conduct yourself when you are discussing something, and if you're, critical of something, there's a way to share your frustration or your criticism that doesn't sound insulting. Because, I mean, I see it in Spotify comments on our own show. I mean, Ryan, who consistently comments on our show, he's an incredibly optimistic OU fan and often like goes to bat with me because I'm more pessimistic, but I'm not pessimistic on purpose. Again, like I've always said, if OU's undefeated, I am the most obnoxious. We are going to kick your ass, like worship us, college football, like we invented the sport, we invented championships and all that stuff. I'd be the most obnoxious blowhard you've ever heard. But until we get to that point, I'm just going to be critical of the program because there's stuff to critique because you're not there yet. But Ryan does it in a way that I kind of deem like, okay, that's when he's either frustrated with me or frustrated with the team. It doesn't necessarily sound insulting to me. When people go into like Gabe Eichert's mentions or whomever else's mentions and they're frustrated, and then Gabe Eichert responds with, "Why are our fans always so mad or upset?" Well, it takes away from, it's great that you go on the road and beat South Carolina solidly. There was a lot in that game. I mean, it was 17-7 late in the third quarter, and South Carolina has proven to not necessarily be a very good team. So there is stuff to critique because ultimately the goal is always, if you're OU, win as many games as you can, get to the playoff. And if you don't see the standard met in games, you can still be happy with the overall result. But there is a process that needs to be followed that gives you the suggestion that, okay, they can repeat this on the road against Tennessee. They can repeat this on the road against Alabama. And until very recently, I've not seen it. That's why, I mean, I'm confident about the game on the road against Alabama. I don't know if I necessarily pick us to win just yet, but we'll get there towards the end of the show. But I mean, Payton, again, like the whole driving force of college football is debate and talking, podcasts, articles, you name it, just media, people talking about it. So this is all kind of serving that monster. But again, like just life in the SEC is just much more enjoyable because when OU does beat South Carolina, a team that's proven to not be necessarily very good, I feel very good that day. When OU beats bad Baylor or bad Texas Tech, I'm just like, cool, the status quo has been met. Like, I wish they just auto send that game so I could have done something else for 3 hours of my life.
Yeah, I mean, where Oklahoma is right now playing in the SEC, as you mentioned, I mean, Oklahoma has a chance to do this stuff and play away. They're playing meaningful games against meaningful teams, right? Now, I will push back slightly. There's nothing to push back on. I mean, watch the team as you want to watch the team, feel about the team as you want to feel about the team. But we have to remember that, after Texas, it was fire everybody. After Ole Miss, it was fire everybody. And Texas is number 10 team in the nation, and Ole Miss is number 5, number 6, something like that. I mean, this is what happens when you play other good teams. Sometimes you lose. And I do understand the idea of like, well, there's criticals, there's a chance to be criticals, chance to, to critique. I think potentially being, I would probably draw a definitional line in between critique and critical. I think every team has issues of being to critique, and to be critical about stuff. Now, to me, it's kind of like, well, Alan said this a ton of times. It's in the oven. Like, you can't pull it out right now. You have to let it cook. You have to let it do the thing, and then afterwards you're going to try to do something, address something. Like, I have my own feelings about DeMarco Murray and Joe John Finley and all these different coaches and stuff. But like firing an assistant coach or a positional coach midway through the season for absolutely no real reason or no real impact on the season itself. Just seems to be panicking when Oklahoma should be a program which doesn't panic. That's always been my thing of like, why are we panicking? This is Oklahoma. There is no panic. The Oklahoma has talent. Oklahoma has skill, all that kind of stuff from that side. So that's how I choose to see it and how I choose to feel about it. If when Oklahoma loses a game, it's like, well, they got 3 more games to prove they can win these 3, and you kind of move forward. Once Oklahoma hits 3 losses or whatever, maybe that changes my mindset. I've had some people I've listened to saying, if we lose Alabama, then the season's over. I can really start doing some other stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean the season's over? But I do understand a lot of people still very much so always view college football through a national title contending thing. And for Oklahoma, that's been what now? 12 years, something like that. 2018, 14, 15, whenever the last time they played for a national championship. I mean, a decent chunk of time, and you have to do all the big stuff right first before you can really start worrying about those pesky little things like playing for a national championship. But hopefully you beat Alabama, which is now, I guess, this game is the biggest referendum game of Brent Venables' coaching career is Alabama.
Every other week.
Followed up
Every
by
other
the
week.
next one.
Yeah.
Followed by the next one. So that will be interesting. If Brent can pull this off, I guess you give him another 5 years at that point in time.
I mean, we've talked about it a handful of times. Like, that's the burden of being a head coach at a place like OU. When you win your games, when you win the big games, then every game becomes your next biggest game. Like, until you've proven yourself to a point where you win a national championship, at that point you're made, unless you just absolutely fall. Not that Gene Chizik was an awesome coach on the rise or any like, he just got Cam Newton, won a title, and then was quickly shown the door because you clearly weren't the reason why Auburn won the national championship. So let's just cut bait. I mean, until that time for Brent, like, if they beat Alabama, then Missouri's the biggest game of his career, because how in the hell could you follow up beating Tennessee on the road, Alabama on the road, thrusting yourself right back into the college football playoff conversation, and then coming back home to lose to Missouri and a true freshman walk-on high school quarterback, middle school, whatever he's in. That's the burden of being a head coach at a place like OU. Real quick, this is from George Stoya from Sooner Scoop. Everybody knows. He had asked CFP Chair Mac Rhodes about the committee's thoughts on Oklahoma, specifically if they've discussed John Mateer's hand injury. And George says that he said that they have, and that they noted he was clearly not fully healthy against Texas, and said that they've been impressed overall by the Sooners. I don't know, Alan, like the loss to Texas. I mean, Texas is going to take care of itself in the next few weeks, as they've got Georgia, Arkansas, A&M to round out their season. Or do they have a fourth game, or they just have 3?
That's it.
Okay. In each one of those games is going to be tough. I mean, even the Arkansas game, because, I mean, obviously they're offensively capable and it's a rivalry game. So who knows? It's going to be played in Austin, I think. And then A&M's in Austin as well, but they have to go between the hedges for Georgia. So Texas will take care of itself, but man, it's just such an albatross of a game. And as the season has gone on, I think we've seen enough from this OU team to have a really good idea of what they are. And losing Ole Miss at home, while frustrating, and especially in the manner that it happened, even more frustrating, but you understand, because Ole Miss is pretty damn good. Trinidad Chambliss is pretty damn awesome. Texas game was just, I hate to say that it was just bad timing because of Mateer's injury, but I mean, for God's sakes, it was just really unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you look at the rankings the way they are right now, clearly that loss to Texas, the head-to-head result is putting a cap on how high OU can go, right? I mean, they're too similar to Texas at this point to, bump OU ahead for, I mean, just based on that head-to-head. Now, I mean, I don't know if Texas wins out, for example, and OU wins out, those are going to be two very, very strong bodies of work. Like,
Yeah.
there's not going to be any keeping them out, either of them. So that part of it, I don't know if it really makes much of a difference. And if Texas loses, I think that will give enough cover and OU keeps winning to bump OU ahead. So to me, it just kind of it works itself out. But if you want to know part of the reason, for example, like why is OU behind Notre Dame, for example, well, I think it's kind of like a deal where it's like, well, you have to have OU behind Texas based on the head-to-head right now, and Texas you have to have behind Notre Dame, so you're kind of just stacking them that way. You know what I mean? But this will work out over time by the end of the season, in my mind.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the main point, and I guess that's where we can kind of transition into like the task at hand, which is Alabama. Peyton, do you already have someone in mind, or have you reached out to schedule for your Patreon preview pod with Alabama?
Yeah, I've actually already recorded last night with Dave
sweet.
Osment of the Alabama Football Podcast. I was on his show as well, previewing Oklahoma. Lots of interesting stuff from that side of it. But yeah, that should be out Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay, well, I mean, you might be well versed in this. Then, to me, like the biggest challenge for this game, other than like you're playing on the road, that's tough. I mean, well, like they won in Neyland. Well, it's like, well, Alabama's a better team than Tennessee. So, 100,000 fans, 90,000 fans, it doesn't matter. It just matters about the 11 guys you're going up against on the field. But other than that, the biggest challenge, in my opinion, is OU's ability to get to Ty Simpson and bring him down, or get to Ty Simpson and force a bad throw, blow up the play. Because like we've seen against Texas and Ole Miss, if OU's pass rush doesn't get to the quarterback and they're either able to evade pressure or just have a clean pocket, I mean, there are yards to be had against this secondary. There are yards to be had in the soft zone in the middle of the field against the Brent Venables defense. And I don't know if you really paid attention to the LSU-Alabama game that much, Peyton, but I'm watching that game. And yeah, I know LSU's defense statistically isn't very good. They've got LSU athletes on defense, so I'm just like, they're talented. And all I saw in that game was just Ty Simpson spinning out of like, this guy is dead, like out of corner blitzes, just sidestepping away from pressure up the middle of the line of scrimmage or in the pocket and keeping his eyes downfield. And then boom, just Ryan Williams, the other receiver that they have, whose name I can't remember.
Bernard.
Bernard. That to me is the big key. And Ty Simpson is not like an athletic specimen. He's not like Trinidad Chambliss, but like I saw against LSU, Peyton, he's capable of making your aggressive pass rush pay by just making the right step and then finding a talented receiver deep downfield.
Are you ready for the new era of sports in Oklahoma? Want to be ready for some real Southern football? Kaizen Performance in Norman, Oklahoma is your spot for physical and mental growth. By empowering a lifestyle of constant, continuous improvement, Kaizen Performance's gym experience lends itself from the experienced training fanatics to those who want to make a positive change in their lives and everyone in between. Come see their new location at 158 Armstrong Court in Norman, Oklahoma. With experienced trainers who understand that every client has individual desires and needs, in-person and online customized training programs and nutrition plans, Kaizen Performance has everything to offer for you to meet your goals. Again, their new location is 158 Armstrong Court, Norman, Oklahoma, 73071. Seriously, Brady works out there, and so does Peyton when he comes to home games. Come work out with us and get ready for the week-to-week grind of real Southern football. Kaizen Performance, Norman's own local gym where your goals are a workout away.
I do want to, and I haven't watched enough LSU football.
Are they statistically cool? Because
I
like
was
to
about to say,
me,
where are we saying their defense is bad?
Yeah, I think
well,
it's like pretty good.
It's 11th
well,
overall, and
well,
SP plus, and
Yeah.
they've got some really good key indicators. The issue is that their offense is super bad, which is putting
that's
Yeah.
it's just like
that's
Oklahoma
cool.
last year. Yeah, yeah.
Cool. That's. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you guys. Like, um, I I didn't know, but the reason why I said that was because they fucking suck. That's
Yeah.
why. Like, if
Yeah,
if you were going to beat your chest last year about OU's defense, like our defense is so great, it's like no one cares. No one cares if you can't do anything about it. So,
Yeah, if
but
you're
continue.
if the other side of your team is super bad, it doesn't really
Yeah,
matter on
It's
that
it's
side.
weird that you can have the worst defense in all of college football, but if you have a great offense, you can actually still win games. But if it's flipped, man, it is like hard to win games.
yeah.
Yeah, so they're kind of like a mirror image of Oklahoma. Oklahoma, according to SP Plus, Oklahoma's sitting at 29th overall on offense and third overall on defense. LSU, this is a different discussion. Oh man, I lost them. LSU is 63rd on offense and
Yeah,
11th
I'm not sure I'd
defense.
call it a mirror image.
Yeah, not quite a mirror, but
Yeah.
I think we could kind of understand the frustrations of an LSU fan of an offense not doing what it's supposed to do.
Must
And
be a
one that was
Bauer Sharp
supposed
thing.
to be good, right? They were supposed to be good at that point in time. And then I would also fair to say I wouldn't even bother mentioning Ryan Williams' name. It's Bernard. OU needs to cover him. My assumption is Cortland will be on Bernard, number 5. If you can shut him down, you're doing good. I mean, Williams may be their big play guy, but Bernard is the dude who catches the football,
Yes.
and does everything else with it. So that's a guy they're going to feed. And I believe he started at Washington and followed Kevin DeBoer to Alabama.
Yeah.
So I mean, he knows the system going and all that stuff. And then Ty Simpson is 1-2 ball out, and he's going to have to do that against Oklahoma. I guess maybe he did that against LSU, but when I was talking to Dave Osment, he was like, when he's playing that way, when he's playing what he described as 2 heartbeats and balls out, the Alabama offense moves very, very well. But teams have been able to cloud him somewhat, and he's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and now all of a sudden the offense is falling apart. Everything's an issue because they do not run the ball at all very well, and they run the ball on first down like 80% of the time. And from my understanding and from Dave's understanding is it's not that they know they don't have a good running offense, and it's not even something of like, well, you have to prove you can stop it. I think it's just something to keep the other defensive coordinator like's minds occupied slightly. If not, they would just throw the ball every time. But you have to at least do it from a level of like every once in a while we will try to run the ball. So I think it's from that side. So, I mean, this game to me really boils down to, and what Dave and I kind of came to agreement on, can OU's defensive line sack Ty Simpson, and can OU's offensive line make a hole for Xavier Robinson? I mean, that it sounds really dumb football, but it's pretty dumb football. It's just going to come down to the line of scrimmage on both sides. If Ty's able to play like Trinidad, which was ball out fast, Oklahoma has an issue. Now you have to remember, Ty is not the same level of athlete and can run around and scramble and really break some third downs open because of that.
Yeah.
So that will be a difference there. I think you end up seeing a passing attack that looks a little bit more like the Tennessee one as opposed to the Ole Miss one. And if that's the case, maybe you can get in Ty's head. I mean, if you're going to really, really, really boil it down and say, I'm picking this one thing, which is going to be the game, it's going to be OU's defensive line hurrying up the process, sacking the quarterback, and then going there and playing down to down. Like from Brent Venable says, every time they lose, he always complains about the defense. The defense will have to kind of go down perfect, because the Alabama offense has a chance to score realistically on any play. So it really puts a damper on that for Oklahoma. And then on the other side, while Alabama is rated according to SP Plus, the 10th rated defense in the nation, there is some hay to be made in the running game. There is some, right? I think they've allowed like the 36th most rushing yard. I mean, they're 36th ranked or whatever. Tennessee was like in the 60s. So there's a difference there. This is a step up in competition from Oklahoma's had. defensively from South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee. It's just separate competition across the board. It's number 4 team in the nation. It's Alabama. But I do think there's a chance to where if you just say, if RMT's back, if Danny Okoye, if number 44, if David Stone, if all of them just get in their face, it can change things. That's what happened against Tennessee. It can happen again. It almost happened against Ole Miss. It can happen. That said, secondary's got to come to play. And that's just kind of OU's defensive strategy this year.
I mean, you mentioned him, or R. Mason Thomas. Are you guys still like hoping he can play against Alabama on Saturday? Or I mean, what do you guys think? Because I'll just tell you guys this: at player availability last night, when we talked to Taylor Wine, Gentry Williams, David Stone. Everybody asked about Danny Okoye and PG Barway. Not that that means anything, but it's just like kind of on everyone's mind. In my opinion, like I just don't see how our Mason Thomas is going to be able to play. I mean, if he hurt his quad or his hamstring like that, like I don't know. Like barely 2 weeks, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not making the biggest assumption that he's going to play, but we've seen crazier things. If it's a quad, maybe there's a bigger chance. I thought it was a hamstring when it first happened, and to me, that I was like, okay, he's kind of done.
Yeah.
Quad maybe is a little bit different. Potentially, it's just a different muscularity, different structure when it comes to that. So maybe, but yeah, I mean, Oklahoma, where Oklahoma is right now, they can be down their best defensive player and really not have too much of a hiccup. So that's not something I'm truly terrified of at this point in time.
Yeah, you feel good about the depth with what Brent's built at basically every position on the defense. So you feel good about the depth. I mean, Allen, to me, I guess two things. One, I was glad out to see Alabama beat LSU because I've been saying for like a few weeks, man, they're due a loss. And honestly, I hope that I hope that it comes obviously against Oklahoma. But I think at the time they had Vanderbilt, they had LSU a few weeks, even though, like, yes, LSU sucks. It is kind of a modern day rivalry game. And no doubt LSU kind of rises to the occasion whenever they play Alabama, no matter how bad or incapable they are. And they certainly played well. I mean, if Bauer Sharp doesn't fumble, which is funny, he fumbled like right in field goal range. I mean, that's a 17-9 game final. And that still gives you the chance to potentially win that game, as bad as LSU was. So I'm glad to see Alabama's kind of come through unscathed because, like, okay, they're due an L. But to balance that out, I also think they're also due to have a game where they just like randomly run the ball well. And that to me is the great equalizer against this defense because no one's really been able to run the ball well against OU's defense consistently, save for Trinidad Chambliss on like, scramble plays and Wisner, Texas, just breaking open field tackles. And so whether or not it's like just pound for like play for play, like running the ball against OU's defense, like, is that going to happen? I mean, I'm probably assuming not based on what we've seen, but there is definitely an ability to get OU in space and force some missed tackles. And Kalen DeBoer is a smart offensive guy. He no doubt probably thinks that, or is maybe like game planning to like, let's try to put OU into that situation that Texas and Ole Miss did, especially in the first half, if you're talking about Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, probably so, right? But again, like I don't know if that's what you're banking on against OU. I still just don't see that as a particularly effective or good strategy, uh, because it, for whatever our complaints might be about OU's tackling ability, the way that they swarm the ball, I mean, it's kind of one of these things where it's like, okay, that might again, you might break off one or two big plays, uh, because of poor tackling on OU's part, but like, is that enough to sustain an offense for a game? I don't see that as being like a workable way of beating this defense just personally. If that's the case, Alabama's going to need a fantastic game out of its defense. Just because, or I don't know, maybe not even fantastic, but a better effort than Alabama's been getting from its defense, in my opinion, probably this year. Um, So, I mean, I I I guess that's one way to look at it, but also like who are the guys on who are the open field guys, right, on Alabama's team right now? Like who are the guys that beat you on in the horizontal passing game, for example? I
Yeah.
don't know who they are.
Yeah. I mean, but at the same time, I wouldn't say Wisner would be able to. Has Wisner done shit since the OU game?
Uh, no, not
I
really.
saw someone posted like his 2025 like season output, and it was it 2 weeks ago, I think, and there was nothing really to like. Oh, like it was just literally two big runs against Oklahoma, where he broke a tackle, but. It's just frustrating because I remember at the time in the Cotton Bowl, like he had a 37-yard run, I think, in the first half, and it's just like it's okay, it's OU Texas, like guys are like players are going to make plays. Because at the time it was like, well, OU's kind of controlling the game, even though they're playing kind of sloppy. It was that missed tackle he forced against Robert Spears Jennings in the third quarter on that third and long that really, like at that point, you had seen enough, and it's like, oh God, one touchdown might do it. Like whoever
Yeah.
scores a touchdown in this game might do it, and that was the play to be made right there, and we didn't make it. That sucks. Um, no, I mean Peyton, like, um, I don't know. Maybe it's just kind of the allure, the aura of Alabama, where they're just Alabama. They're talented. They've got talent. They've got guys that can make plays despite what you've seen with your eyes or what the numbers will tell you from the entirety of the season. And you're always just kind of afraid, as a fan that, a guy on your team just has a bad day. Like John Mateer had a bad day against Texas, and that really sucks. But he was also like off for 17 days, so maybe it had more to do with that. We don't know. But I mean, I don't know. Like this game feels very weird to me because it's very apparent what each team wants to do. And it's like, well, OU's got a strength against what Alabama wants to do. Alabama has strengths against what OU wants to do. It doesn't always work that way, like it does on paper, though, right?
The Spirit Shop has been Norman's source for wine, beer, and spirits since 1976. We feature the biggest selection and best prices in town. Thousands of different wines, beers, spirits, and more. Live in Norman? We deliver all over town, every day, usually in under an hour. Let us bring the party to you. Go to our website and order online at www.thespiritshop.org or give us a call at 405-321-3100. That's 405-321-3100. In from out of town for the game? Come see us at the corner of Main and Berry, just 2 miles east of I-35. Take the Main Street exit and browse thousands of fine wines and hard-to-find bourbon in store.
I mean, this is a total, the cliche of like style make fights, right? I mean, this is Alabama wants to drop back, throw the ball, and Oklahoma wants you to draw back and throw the ball.
Give them opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a really ugly football game. I was talking to Dave on his podcast about it, and he explains how the defense goes. Is that the defensive coordinator for Alabama, they preach make them snap the ball one more time, right? It's the whole bend not break thing, but his whole thing is make them continue to let them snap the ball, which is weird because there's like a causation correlation between number of snaps and number of whatever for that defensive faces, and some productivity or some efficiency starts dipping. But their whole thing is rally, tackle, make them snap. If they're going to bust, if you bust, I mean, who cares if it's a 50-yard, push them out of the bounds at the 2-yard line, make them snap again because we have a chance to do something, which is different than Brent Venables. Brent Venables says we stop this offensive drive, play one, every single play, right? So there's a difference of philosophy on defense. So if you're an Oklahoma fan, you may find some solace in the thought of this Alabama defense wants you to not they're going to sit back and let you run the ball or sit back and let you succeed, but they're built to give up the underneath. They're built to give up some of the smaller runs. Like they want to make you work your way down the field, which Oklahoma has shown plenty of times. They will try to do that, and they will force themselves to punt, regardless if the defense is there or not. but this is a defense that's not going to force the point as often as maybe we saw against some of these other teams. That said, you saw that a lot down in Dallas. Texas was dropping back like 8 guys a lot, and Mateer had no idea what to do, and those guys really know how to rally to tackle and kind of keep guys kind of quasi in the box. Against Tennessee, everything was really front loaded. I mean, 11 guys within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. They really wanted to press the point, and Oklahoma was able to take advantage of that in the run game. So I think what you're going to see is they're going to force Mateer to make reads and get the ball down the field. And if that's the case, and if it's a John Mateer we've seen over the last 4 weeks, that may be defense enough if Oklahoma can't get something going on the run game.
I'm glad you brought up John Mateer. That was the next thing I wanted to get to, was to flip it over to the offense. I mean, real quick, just show you don't have to go into great detail. We'll talk about it a little bit more. But do you guys feel like overall John Mateer has gotten better from the Texas game? Like each game has been better. I mean, even the Ole Miss game, like from Ole Miss to South Carolina, because really, like, he didn't do much against South Carolina. He wasn't asked to do much against South Carolina. He was asked to do a little bit more against Ole Miss. He failed a lot of it. Didn't play overall particularly well, but I mean, it was still a far cry from the John Mateer we saw in the Cotton Bowl 2 weeks earlier. I mean, what do you guys think?
I mean, I'd say yes. I mean, he certainly played better versus Tennessee than he did in some of those games earlier on in that stretch. So yeah, to me, I think so. Now, how much of that is the defense that he was seeing versus Texas defense, I'm not sure, but he certainly looked more confident and just played a bit better there in the second half against Tennessee.
Peyton?
Yeah, I was going to say you've seen him be the quarterback he was the first part of the season in the second half of the Tennessee game. That's about it. Now, there could be a lot of different reasons for that. Confidence, calling different plays. But the second half of that Tennessee game changed for him, and they seem to realize they're going to have to run him and run him like with intent instead of him scrambling. He's really good at influencing the defense with his legs in order to make a throw. He's not going to move a guy with his eyes, and so he's going to move a guy by running 5 feet to the right. That's how he plays. He plays much more backyard football, and if he just doesn't have the ability to play backyard football, then he loses a lot of his efficiency. So I'm not for sure if there's been the second half of Tennessee games where you saw some flashbacks to what he looked like at the beginning part of the season when he played some good defenses. Michigan, Auburn, 2 good defenses in which he was able to kind of, become the Heisman favorite after week 4. So I mean, there's some opportunity there for maybe him to come back to glory if another week off, some more ice, more time, more rest. Maybe there's a chance he's looking a little bit more healthy, a little more spry.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote about it on the Tuesday Post earlier today. It's so weird that John Mateer has 8 passing touchdowns and 7 interceptions, and yet I still feel very good about him. I mean, after the Texas game, maybe after the Ole Miss game, I can't remember when. It was around that time. I'm like, it probably was after Ole Miss. I was like, I was wrong about John Mateer in that he's not very special. He's unfortunately he doesn't have a special ability about him that he can play like crap for 2 or 3 quarters and still make like a lot of plays like late to balance out the bad from previous. Like that to me is the sign of a special player. He showed that against Auburn. He was pretty damn good basically the entire game against Michigan. Wasn't good against Texas. He did make that run late in the fourth quarter that I keep bringing up, but it got negated by a holding penalty. Ole Miss was just kind of a dumpster fire from start to finish, unfortunately. But to me, even though like I thought that, I mean, Alabama is like the perfect. This is your Texas game do-over, John. Like, whether you want to talk about this season, like, you potentially getting into the playoff, winning all these games, and then especially like for John Mateer's prospects as QB1 at OU next year, because I don't think anyone's thinking he's going to go to the draft anytime soon.
No.
But you had an awful game against Texas. There were some disadvantages that went into that you had nothing to do with, in terms of you got hurt, you didn't practice, and your coach, allowed you to play still. And that was a decision you both made, and you have to live with it. You have to live with the performance. But now you've had over a month to have that in the back of your mind, progressively get more healthy, get better, especially that knee injury, because we saw it in the second half of the Tennessee game with him running the ball. This is your perfect do-over, John Mateer. If you're going to be QB1 at OU and lead OU to potential greatness, playoff run, and then especially like have a lot of hype going into next year, you got to play well against Alabama. And this is not, I guess this is kind of the moral victory segment of the show, because we're talking about like the quarterback play long-term for John Mateer at OU. OU can lose this game, but we could still feel very good about John Mateer. Like, okay, he looks much better. He looks further distanced himself from that injury. He looks healthier now. You feel good about the short-term and the long-term future at that point.
Yeah, the funny part to me is that I feel like Mateer maybe could do the most for the team here using his legs. I mean, I feel like at this point in the season where they are, this is a game where you got to fire all your bullets because, I mean, obviously LSU and Mizzou are far from gimmies, but they're at home. You can maybe get by in those two, not using your full arsenal. But here, I mean, I think you kind of got to lay it on the line if you're Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer and really take advantage of, putting that extra, that extra blocker in there, I mean, or the extra man, in the running game, and taking advantage of what the quarterback can do, because there's just a lot that is missing from OU's offense without Mateer's ability to run, and I mean that's really been kind of mitigated since really since about the Auburn game.
I mean, that's what makes John Mateer special, is his ability to make plays with his legs. And I mean, to extend plays, to run downfield like he did against Tennessee on a 3rd and 16, rushing for a 21-yard gain. I mean, like that's what makes him special. It's not necessarily his ability to pick apart defenses, shred them for 4 touchdowns. He's not shown that ability at this level. I mean, Payton, is there anything to suggest that, I mean, yeah, like if you said OU's, like if you knew for a fact OU's beating Alabama, I think we would all assume John Mateer had a good game, and that good game would primarily be because he ran the football really well and made Alabama's defense pay. I mean, is there anything to suggest that maybe from what you've seen against Tennessee, since that's the latest game, that maybe he can still do some damage with his arm, with his ability to look downfield and read defenses? Like, can that still happen this late in the season, despite the last month of what we've seen from him?
No, I think you see how he's played. If you run with him from the start, right, that's when the stuff will happen for him in the passing game, right? Once defenses have to start dedicating, put another guy in the box, it clarifies the image for him. Then you start getting the Satania gets it, I think if you run him effectively and run him from the start, Oklahoma has a higher chance of succeeding in the passing game. If you run because they've completely stopped your passing game, I think then the issue's been forced upon you, I guess, if that makes sense. To now the defense has dictated how you're going to play offense. I think if you dictate to them saying we're going to have 10 blockers on this play, right? Because Mateer is going to run the football. You have to change your personnel out. You can't have that third cornerback or defensive back there. You're going to have to be a heavy set. You're going to have to do that stuff. And we're not going to change our personnel that much, right? I mean, you're still going to have Satania, you still have Burks, you still have Gibson. So out there, because they haven't done, OU doesn't get heavy very often, right? And they're still, I believe they're most effective out of empty, even though they've been playing that less and less and less and less. I still think their most effective plays on offense are out of empty. But yeah, if you can force the defense to play heavy to stop this QB run game, and he's able to hit, so then when he does make a pass play, it's an explosive pass play for a catch and run or something of that nature. I think that's where you're really highlighting his current skill set and current effectiveness, and how OU potentially should be trying to leverage those two things.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the whole empty set, 5 wide. I mean, that to me is just because I could see someone saying like that works all the time. Why don't they just do it? It's almost like they just want to keep it in their back pocket for like we got to have this play. It's like let's just go empty. But I mean, you have Xavier Robinson like running the football 4 or 5 yards of carry and constantly falling forward and just constantly making good plays, constantly finding space. It's hard to not simply just say hand him the football. I mean, other than John Mateer, Alan, like, is it Xavier Robinson? Is it Isaiah Satania, like Deion Burks? Alabama, like in the games that I've really sat down and watched them, seem to kind of struggle with tight end play, like defending it. This is where like I'm going to be complimentary of Joe John Finley because Caden Helms, like from the Texas game on, like after the Texas game, has been pretty damn good at doing what the offense is asking him to do. We know what Jaren Kanak is as a pass catcher and with the ball in his hands. Teams no doubt okay, don't let Mateer like lean on him because he can make you pay over the middle of the field, and they've taken that away for the last month of the season, OU's opponents. But I mean, there are other aspects to this offense that I think they can find success. And so, I mean, is it as simple, Alan, as just hand it off to Xavier Robinson, or do you see someone else potentially being a hero in this game?
That's a very good question. I mean, the two candidates are Mateer and Robinson in my mind, just because of how I think you can attack Bama. You know, Let me put it to you like this though. If OU could generate an explosive play in the passing game, like it would do wonders. So, if there is something in Burks, Satania, hell, if they can figure out a way, I don't think they're going to get like an opportunity to throw a good like downfield shot to anybody, but you know, something coming from that group would be great. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and but I don't know who that might be or how OU might manipulate, Alabama's defense to get different guys a look or what have you. Like that part is probably I'm just not sure about at this point.
Yeah. I mean, Xavier's the prime candidate other than John Mateer, but I mean, Peyton, do you think that there's another like special game um, in the arsenal for Jaren Kanak? Because I mean, honestly, like he's made catches in essentially I think every game, like a catch or two, but he's just not been the same guy since Temple, really. And like what the third or the fourth was it the fourth quarter against Auburn where they finally like threw him the ball a few times on one or two particular drives. I mean, since that time, he's just been on the field and a lot of times open, but Mateer, for whatever reason, isn't seeing it. Pressure, just his eyes aren't in the right place, like he's mentioned before. I mean, is there still room for like a special Jaren Kanak game? Because if there is, this is the time to do it.
Uh, it- that's actually funny. On the Alabama football podcast, he asked me about that. He asked me about Kanak. He's like, he seems to be pretty good. Alabama struggles with some tight ends and stuff. This guy seems to be good. And I kind of looked at him and said, if Jaren Kanak is doing good things in this football game, it's not going to be because he's doing it on purpose. I mean, yeah, the ball gets to him, but the ball gets, if you look at a lot of those plays, the ball's getting to him because Mateer is scrambling. He's moving around. Like he is a guy who flashes open for him usually in those scramble drills. That as Mateer has got lessened his ability to scramble for various amounts of reasons, the ball hasn't found its way to Kanak because the ball isn't. I don't know. It's not drawn up to go to him. I guess very often it finds its way to him when he's the guy who's open. In that I think it was the Ole Miss game. Mateer missed him twice in the flat, like one wide open. He didn't see him. The other one, he threw the ball like 10 feet over his head on that fourth down. So he's an outlet. I wouldn't expect him to be the reason Oklahoma's winning. If he's winning, if he's doing something big, it's a going to be because of a byproduct of Oklahoma being good at other places. To me, this is Xavier Robinson has 150 yards rushing, and John Mateer has 80, and that's how OU wins the game. I don't think there's a lot of other ways for Oklahoma to win this game on offense, at least. On defense is you sack the guy, you get a fumble, you force a pick. I mean, to me there's a lot more. There's a lot more ways for Oklahoma to win defensively as there is to offensively.
I mean, overall for the offense, Alan, I mean, what about Ben Arbuckle? Obviously, the offense isn't near as explosive as we would all want it to be, as people that have followed OU for a long time expect it to be. At the same time, it hasn't been awful. There's just reasons why. There are legitimate reasons why the offense has struggled at times this year. Some of it is just you're playing really good teams. Some of it is your quarterback got hurt in the middle of the season, and it was an injury that is kind of a lingering injury, plus his knee injury, his unspecified one that happened either against Temple or Auburn that has affected John Mateer up to this point. So there are legitimate reasons why it hasn't worked out swimmingly. But even with all that said, despite the lack of explosiveness, like I like Ben Arbuckle's offense. I think that it has a future. I've been pleasantly pleased with it despite the lack of explosiveness. But I don't know, like in the Cotton Bowl, he kind of shrank. Ole Miss, like a few bad calls led to that game just kind of going into the pit. OU was able to dig itself out of it because of Xavier Robinson. So I guess overall you just kind of like throw that as an L for Ben Arbuckle as a play caller or as a game planner, whatever the reason might be. But Tennessee, like, he went into that environment, and other than that damn RPO pass at the very end of the fourth quarter, yeah, and that's just kind of goes to show that, yes, even awesome offensive coordinators, whether he's destined to be one or not, if you isolate individual play calls, like, yeah, you're going to be angry at a handful of plays throughout an entire season. But I'm still kind of pleased, like, is this a situation on the road against Alabama in this type of atmosphere, this type of game with these stakes for both teams? I mean, is this somewhere that you're worried about Ben Arbuckle as a play caller or as a game planner because of what we've seen in previous big games this season? Or are you confident that that could have all led up to this being like a culmination moment for him?
Yeah, I don't really have any problem with how Ben Arbuckle has called games this year or any of that. If I think if there has been any real issue that has emerged this season, it's maybe what are they doing, from Sunday to Friday to prepare the quarterbacks, right? Or to get John Mateer, and Michael Hawkins for that matter, looking in the right place to get them comfortable to figure out what it is that they can and cannot do in different situations. Because, Mateer can only say so many times, like, the problem is where my eyes are, or whatever, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Everybody puts that without that being like, okay, well, so what are you doing to fix that? What's being done to address that? You know, I guess, to be fair, they've also had a week off, right? So you never know what they cooked up during the time off. You could see some new wrinkles that you haven't seen from OU this year, and in fact, I would expect that you will. But again, the most important thing that they can do at this point, in terms of the offensive coaching staff, Ben Arbuckle and anybody who's working with the quarterbacks, is getting those guys' minds and eyes right.
Yeah, no question. I mean, someone said it. I wish I had thought of it, but it's like, can Dr. Shin do eye surgery? What's going on, John? Are we ready for score predictions, gents, for this one? Do we need to go into detail about Isaiah Satania? Please don't fumble a punt in this game. I think you feel good about OU special teams as a prime unit.
One thing I would put on, and I wrote about this actually last week, is Alabama has been running pretty hot in the fumble luck category or the turnover luck category. They're probably running ahead of where they should be at this point. So don't discount that as a potential kind of leverage point for OU here. I mean, there's nothing that says the turnover luck has to even out over time, but OU's had bad luck, Bama's had good luck. Maybe that breaks in OU's favor this week.
Yeah, can I interrupt and be a hater real quick?
Yeah, hey,
Just a little bit, right? Just a little bit, because it kind of put me on my heel when he said it. What has, from my perspective, Ben Markle has called good plays. It's been an execution issue. Then it becomes, okay, now how do we put players in the position to execute better? Like what Alan's saying, how do we get their eye? What's going on from that week to week on that side? But Brady, since Texas, when has Ben Arbuckle in your mind called a good game? Because the offense was woeful against the Texas game, ton of reasons. It was bad against South Carolina. South Carolina couldn't fight back. It was quote unquote bad against Ole Miss, right? Lost. It beats Tennessee after a horrible first half, and only after Tennessee goes down like 3 defensive linemen to where now we figured out we could just run the ball. I'm just thinking from that perspective. Has he really shown you something that says, "Oh, now I know," or was it purely that second half Tennessee game where he found an advantage and then pressed it?
Well, I think overall, when I deduce that, okay, the quarterback is not Sam Bradford, well, then my standard for offense like drops. And I think we had talked about this after the Ole Miss game because everybody and their dog mentioned like, oh, look at all these guys that are open. Like, look, John Mateer's just missing him. And I'm stupid. And I say, well, stop calling those fucking plays then, because clearly like call a play that, John can like execute. Because if, it was the Josh Heupel offense with Landry or with Trevor Knight, or Blake Bell. Sometimes you need to adapt your play calling to your personnel, and Trevor Knight and Blake Bell cannot throw 40 passes a game like Landry Jones, Josh, and that's a big reason why he got fired. If John Mateer is struggling, like seeing like a part of the field against particular defensive schemes, then calling them is just empty calories to me. It's just going to piss people off when they see an all 22 and Jaron Cannon's like, I'm right here. It's like, well, you knew John's not going to look that way because he's shown you no ability to do so. So, I mean, yeah, there's like shit to critique, but John Mateer just isn't, prime Baker Mayfield. He's not prime Sam Bradford. He's not prime like go OU quarterback. So my standard for it is much lower. Also, I think we could all agree that the receivers, while they're not bad, and they're, fairly good, they're not elite. They're not creatures. And so that kind of like lowers the standard at the same time. And then you're playing a true freshman at left tackle. You've been forced to play another true freshman at right tackle. And now you've got a redshirt freshman playing at left guard. So you've got an experienced offensive line. So all that kind of like falls down to, I'm not expecting 30, 40, 50 points a game. So basically just do the smart stuff. And for the most part, and it's so hard to say after that interception against Tennessee in the fourth quarter, but for the most part, he's done the smart things. Like, but again, there are things you can point to, like the stretch play that led to the safety against Ole Miss, the end of the first half against Texas, that RPO pass late in the fourth quarter against Tennessee. There are things you can point to, but again, that's all like the plays on the field and the players on the field. He's 30 years old and only 5 years into coaching in college football. Whereas Lincoln Riley, when he was hired in 2015, had been a coach for over 10 years and at 2 different schools before he rose up to OU. He was just more experienced. So with all that said, I'm fine with it. And you've mentioned the Tennessee losing defensive lineman thing a few times, Peyton. I'll push back on that. Tennessee's defensive line wasn't stopping Xavier Robinson, healthy or not. And we thought that going into the game. Like
no, you're right. You're right.
Their defense is
they
not.
They stopped them in the first half just fine.
They stopped them in the first half, like from scoring. But OU still controlled the ball when they had it. And to me, like what that means, and that's why I'm confident with John Mateer going on the road against Alabama is, I mean, this isn't just because I was there. You could tell on TV. It was loud. It was a very hostile environment. And at no point did I think OU's offense doesn't know what's going on. And that's a testament to John Mateer. Because sometimes, like, that's why quarterback is such a weird position, is you can look at the box score and say, man, this dude sucks. And his stats would kind of suggest that. But I look at other things like, does he communicate the play? Does the team follow him? Does the team not look worried because of him? And at no point other than Texas in the second half have I thought that about OU, their offense, or John Mateer. That's why I'm confident about this Alabama game. So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, they stopped it. Tennessee did, but I mean, it obviously took a half for OU's offense to find rhythm. And I think it had more to do with them than it did Tennessee's defense, because Tennessee's defense they're all right. I mean, they're all right. Alabama's is much better. So, I mean, Allen, Payton, am I looking at that wrong?
No, man, I think you're looking at, I mean, it is a way to look at it. Tennessee's defense is all right. I don't know if OU's offense has done anything to say they're more than just all right themselves. You know, I mean, when they, on that side, and the games they have won against really good defenses, they were woefully bad offenses. And Alabama has a good defense and a good offense. And this will be the most complete team they'll have played this year, and will go a long way to say, because one, they have to win the game to make the playoffs, but two, if they win this game, then they prove they should be in the playoffs. I guess, if that makes sense. It's not a bunch of empty calorie wins that got them there. They have proven their ability to belong and their ability to be in the field at this time. And that's just a little bit of a pushback of saying, we think we know what this team is. We don't. It feels weird to be 7-2 and still not quite have a full grasp on who they could be. Is I think they should be better than who they are right now, I guess.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that is just because this is a perfect do-over for John Mateer. Like, if John Mateer never got hurt, who knows how the Texas game goes? Because he doesn't miss 17 days of practice and is in much better rhythm at that point against Texas. If OU beats Alabama, it's a very good, like, okay, so they lost to Texas because, it's easier to explain it and hand wave it, even though it's kind of silly. But I mean, I don't know. It's interesting because, I mean, I don't know how to quantify this, Peyton, but OU, like, I've seen like podcasters that cover the SEC, that cover other teams, kind of like, okay, like, enough with like the John Mateer crap. Like, he's not terrible, but he's not awesome.
Yeah.
That injury to him, I mean, happened at like, it's a weird injury because he was going to come back, whether he came back against Texas or Ole Miss, he was going to come back this season. But whenever he came back, it was going to take him a little bit to kind of reacclimate himself. And it's the quarterback, so it's such a influential position on a team. OU's offense is not awesome. They've shown you very little to be excited about them, especially against a defense like Alabama. And yet, I think of all the teams in the top 25, they have the ability to just randomly show that, no, actually, they're much better. Now, they're running out of opportunities to show that. Will they do that? I don't know, but it's just because, like, John Mateer, I think, is a good quarterback. I think that their offensive line, even with two true freshmen and one redshirt, is very good. And they've shown the ability on both at home and on the road to be good. I think Xavier Robinson's a great running back.
Yeah.
And I think this receiving core is good enough. Like, they can run routes, they can block, they can do all the things that I want them to do. They just can't, like, make CeeDee Lamb catches on go routes. Like, oh, well, you can't have everything. Like, OU's offense has the ability to just randomly, everything has coalesced to this point. John Mateer is much healthier, and he's gotten enough kind of experience now in this conference. He's gotten enough distance from his injury and his recovery and all those things. And now here's a better indication of what the offense should have been had he had never been hurt. And it would be great if it happened against Alabama.
Yeah. And, from your initial pushback on the Tennessee stuff is Oklahoma still had to go and make those plays, right? So at the end of the day, they went out and made those plays. Were those plays potentially easier to make because of the personnel they had to play? I would say yes, but they still had to go out and do it. And that is something Oklahoma needed to prove to all of us and honestly to themselves, right? Because it's not a spot in which they fully were able to do it. They hadn't been able to do it. They played worse defenses and hadn't been able to do this stuff, and now they did. So I think it passed the test for them, and allows them to be in a spot where you and I can feel comfortable as much as we can.
Yes.
Playing Alabama at Alabama with this team and the flaws that it has.
I guess one more quick note on just OU overall. I mean, this is going to be important because it's been important. The whole conversation about penalties, and people have put it into context, in my opinion, in like a very broad sense. It's like, well, OU's only like, they weren't penalized that much, last year. And I'm like, well, who gives a shit about last year? They're what, ninth in the SEC right now, which isn't great, but it's not awful. So like, stop saying that they keep shooting themselves in the foot due to penalties. I don't know if you saw this, but I mean, you might have, Peyton, because this came out like 10 hours ago. Someone posted, I'll just read it verbatim. Here's an interesting stat from True Media. This comes from Manny Navarro, who I don't know who this person is, but interesting stat from True Media. Penalty margin. No team in the country has a bigger margin than Miami. The Hurricanes are plus 33 in that 33 more calls against them than their opponents for the season. And on this list, OU was fourth. So maybe that's putting into context what me and other fans who feel like for a program and it's like a coach that prides itself on being detailed, and Brent Venables stresses details all the time. And then I bring up penalties and people then combat me with they're just isolated incidents. I mean, OU had what, 10 or 11 penalties against Tennessee for over 100 yards. Maybe it's the penalty margin. Maybe it's as simple as that, where, well, in these big games, OU just seems to get penalized a lot more than their opponent. And that, coupled with, John Mateer sucking and missing like a handful of tackles, all that equals OU loses.
Yeah, I mean, you've got OU fans, having conspiracy theories about Tennessee's defensive line wearing white gloves. I don't know if you guys saw that. That's
what
why
was
they
it?
didn't get. Every single one of Tennessee's defensive linemen wore white gloves, and they said, or their offensive linemen wore white gloves, something like that. And since OU was the visit team that had white jerseys, it made it harder for the refs to see that they were holding our players every damn play. Now that said, Oklahoma, I guess no one holds against Oklahoma. That's a different thing. But to me, you can't. Let's go to the score prediction, but I want to finish on this. If you're leaving it to the refs' hands, you have a different issue at that point in time. I know you want it called. I want it called fairly and the whole thing. And there's a lot of gambling stuff going on. I don't want to go full Dabo, but maybe there's a larger point of discussion at that point in time.
I mean, I see it in multiple sports, like in basketball a lot, where if you have a team that only shoots threes, like the Harden, Chris Paul Rockets, and if they got into a game situation where, okay, like they've taken kind of like, you can't rely on the three ball that much, you need to drive to the basket. If James Harden drove to the basket, sure, like, because he knows how to get to the foul line. But if Eric Gordon or anybody else tried, it's like officiating crews are like, that's not what you do. We are not going to bail you out via rewarding you by getting you to the foul line. So translating that to football, OU defense, you go out of your way to chase the quarterback, and we can call holding on every play. We're not going to do that. At the same time, we're not going to bail you out and reward you unless it's just the most blatant hold in the history of the game. But even still, I mean, South Carolina was like a handful of blatant holds. I mean, the Tennessee game, I think because they were going opposite of me in the fourth quarter, there was a blatant hold that didn't get called on a second and long or a third and long on a scoring drive for them. And that's annoying, but maybe that's it. I mean, Alan, you had to step away. It was just I don't know if you saw the stat on Twitter earlier today. It was a penalty margin. It's teams that rank in terms of penalties called against them over their opponent. OU's fourth. Like, Miami is number one in the country in that they're plus 33 more calls against them than their opponent. No, OU's fourth. So
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows what that it comes down to? Uh, but it's just there's so many factors that go into that I can't begin to parse that out
Yeah.
personally.
And the
yeah,
bigger issue is that, Sooners fans are mainly Thunder fans, and so they get in there.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, there's some stuff about refs, and everyone gets a little teed off about that, I think.
a reminder that the Spurs never won championships because they got to the foul line.
Never. They won championships. Bruce Bowen is karate kicking dudes in the throat.
Nah, no, like I'll admit, like I like I like watching the Thunder play. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is awesome, but yeah, it does get to a point where it's just like, well, I wish someone could just play defense. Like just play defense and try not to get fouled. Like you know how they're calling the play, you know how they're calling the game, play defense accordingly. I would imagine it shouldn't be that hard if you're at that level. I mean, I guess with penalties, one last thing. To me, it's just please, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna like really over officiate like OU in terms of we're not gonna reward your pass rush because you're going out of your way to attack on essentially every single play. Well, then do it on the other side too. Don't bail out offenses when they are being forced to throw the ball, early or off their back foot, 10 fucking yards over someone's skull. And just because Cortland Guillory or someone like bear hugs somebody who runs directly into them, by the way, that was probably the point of that whole third down play by Josh Heupel.
Which is again totally legal.
Yes,
Until
I
the
mean
ball's in the air,
this is
Cortland
a part
he
of a
can't grab
greater
him. Yeah.
this is a part of a greater request that I've had for a handful of years of like stop rewarding bad throws. Like
Yeah.
take that out of the game. Seriously, this is fucking bullshit. All right. Let's do the the very, very, very official game predictions sponsored by the Spirit Shop of Norman. Alan, are you prepared to make your prediction for OU at Alabama?
Yeah, I got the Crimson Tide here, 24-19, low
This is
scoring,
your
kind of ugly
first.
game.
Is this your first week picking against OU? I think you've picked OU in every game.
It might be, yeah, it might be my first time. Yeah, so maybe that's a good thing. Who knows?
Okay, well, what was it one more time? I'm sorry, I was just
24-19. I've got the Crimson Tide pulling it out. Too many
okay.
field goals for the Sooners. Too many field goals.
Wow, too many field goals and Tate Sandell is not the victor.
Too many.
Boy. Peyton, what are you feeling?
The cool thing about going after Allen usually is that I get to do the under over thing over there. Price is right, but I had it 24-18 Alabama.
Okay. Well, man, I don't know, guys. I thought OU was going to get soundly beaten by Tennessee. And then I'm not kidding. Like, and this was because I was there. So you get kind of like swept into the fun and the atmosphere, then, that whole thing. I thought we were going to get beat. And then that game day, it was just such a fun experience. The fans were awesome there. Knoxville was a fun town. The food was great. Everything was fun. And I just got a good feeling. Just got a really good feeling. And I rode that into the stadium. And I thought by virtue of me missing our Mason Thomas's 71-yard scoop and score touchdown because I had to pee, I thought, okay, if that's going to happen, laugh out loud, we should win this game. And OU did. And it's weird because I want to pick OU to beat Alabama. I feel like everything is pointing in the direction of like OU should beat Alabama. I don't know what to do. Alan, just go with my heart or go with my brain. Tell me what to do.
Oh, you got to follow your heart. This is like The Bachelor. Isn't that what they always say
Yeah.
when they're making a choice? You've got to follow your heart. Yeah, follow your heart, Brady.
Sooners 31-24. Oklahoma. Then my heart says 31-24 Oklahoma. I like how OU's offense is trending. I think Bama has shown what they are, which is really damn good. And I think it would just be poetry for John Mateer to kind of look at this week and say, this is Texas all over again, and I'm going to rewrite the script for that one. Hopefully that's how it goes. should ask Matt for his. We'll get his later, but Peyton will put out the graphic and the score predictions later this week on Keyhole Pod or at Keyhole Pod on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. College football at large, guys. I mean, it's there. The whole conversation is still the coaching carousel. I mean, Alan, you talked to Chip Patterson about that at length on that free Patreon pod, patreon.com/the Keyhole. I've kind of seen like the Brian Kelly stuff, and it's just like a bunch of legalese, like silliness. Like as frustrating as it's been with OU, like in terms of me, how I look at the program, it's because I just have such a high standard for it. That being said, holy crap, LSU. What a clown car of an institution. And yet they still somehow every handful of years fall up into a great team that wins a national championship.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Louisiana thing, going all the way back to like what, Huey Long or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is just that state has always been a hotbed of, well, mess, right? And so I think, the thing about it is though is they got so many good football players in that area. So, no matter how messy it gets, that was kind of funny, the whole idea about like, oh, now the governor's involved. Who's going to step into that? It's like, okay, I could see that maybe making a little bit of a difference, but trust me, when you get the amount of money flash in front of you that the coach is going to get there, plus you start thinking about how well you can recruit it, you'll still get plenty of great candidates lining up to be the head coach at LSU.
Yeah, it's some teams, some states, some programs have advantages that others don't. It's just as simple as that. I mean, Peyton Allen, anyone can jump in on this. I don't think I've just kind of like never assumed Lane Kiffin was going to walk away from Ole Miss. And yet every time, like, and again, I'm not a big sports gambler guy. I have to often ask you guys questions about, well, what does this actually mean? When I see like betting lines or whatever. But every time something pops up, it's like Lane Kiffin, his chances of going to Florida just increases. So am I just being silly and just assuming he's going to stay at Ole Miss, or is this all just like contract up to salary play?
I think if he's going anywhere, it's going to be Florida, personally. But I don't know. I've never really gotten the impression he was going to leave Ole Miss, and it's kind of to me, it's kind of like, well, he's happy there, right? So why not? Why would you want to mess that up?
It's weird. Like, I don't get the impression he's going to leave Ole Miss either, but I don't get the impression that that's where he's going to stay for the entirety of his coaching career in college.
Yeah, maybe not. You know what I mean? Or maybe he decides he wants to shot at the NFL again. I don't know.
Yeah, like if he takes a job in the NFL, like then all bets are off. If there's like a job that he wants or that it would be interested in him, then all bets are off. But I just don't think he's an Ole Miss lifer. It's weird. Like, and they're good program like LSU, Florida that are available to him if he so chose. But I think LSU fanboys really want Nick Saban back.
I'm sure they do.
Ugh, that's going to be really odd when he runs for political office. Oh boy. Anything else college football wise, guys? I mean, all the who to root for stuff, you can find that on the other, like my other gig, Sinners on SI. We did that. I mean, Gabe Eichert and Teddy Lehman on their podcast talked about all the scenarios for the teams that need to win or lose for OU's best chance to get into the playoff. Again, just go 10-2. It's the easiest way.
That would be the easiest way, yes.
Go 10-2.
for sure.
Go 10-2. But I mean, other than that, is there anything else we need to discuss before we get out of here?
I mean, not that I'm aware of. I mean, I would just say the last 3 weeks of the season, that top 12 is going to change greatly. A lot of these teams play each other. It's going to be pretty fun to see all that. I mean, just enjoy the chaos. Got 3 more weeks of this before we get into a big break, playoffs, bowl games, all that kind of stuff. So just buckle up, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be a fun end of the season for the next, 3 weeks, month.
Who let Bob Stoops into McCaslin? It's a student only game. Who? Is
That
he
is
like,
a great question.
Maybe he enrolled.
hello, fellow kids?
Yeah.
And
Maybe
so,
it's for Sonic or something.
and Cale Gundy's right next to who let Cale in? He hasn't been a student in decades.
At least Kale was a student at one point. What's Bob's? Yeah, right.
That's funny.
I was not playing. Oh well. Alrighty then, guys. Well, thank you all for listening to Through the Keyhole. Again, shout out to our title sponsor, the Choctaw Nation, and our official exclusive, super awesome apparel sponsor, Home Field Apparel. Go check them out on their website for their awesome clothes. And then, of course, Spirit Shop in Norman, Kaizen Performance Gym in Norman. Thank you to you all. And thank you, of course, to our listeners, both the free listeners and the patrons. Patreon.com/throughthekeyhole, and Keyhole Pod is the free website where you can find Alan's writings in full. So go check that out. But for the absent Matt Burton, in the present Peyton Guthrie, the present Alan Kenny, and myself, Brady Trantham, everybody, thank you so much. Until next time, boom her.
Sooner.
Okay.